If I ignore how valuable a first impression is, then I'm missing out on a moment where I could be building a deeper relationship with them. My channel. My name is Cassie Rose, and today I'm going to be talking about how to turn strangers into friends. Now, this is something that a lot of people struggle with. People struggle with building meaningful relationships, starting new relationships, meeting friends when maybe they're not in a social context where they're continually being put together with people. Like when you're in school, you may have group projects or sports teams or things like that where you kind of get enmeshed in other people's lives. But as you get older, that dissipates, and then we step into a phase where we have to be really intentional. That word again. We have to be really intentional about making friendships that are meaningful and having conversations with people that bring us to a deeper understanding of who they are. So we're going to jump into the content in just a minute, but before we do, if you can go ahead and like and subscribe, I would love to continue making videos like this for you guys. Something that has always been really valuable in my journey in life is personal development, and so I would love to share with you guys all of the things that I have learned, and leave a comment down below sharing something that you want to grow in personally. So today we're talking about how to turn strangers into friends. I have had a difficult time in the past with just having those introductory conversations with people where you move deeper and deeper into friendship. I think for a lot of people, there's this divide between acquaintances and friends, and there's this chasm in the middle that we don't really know how to navigate most of the time. There is a difference between someone who is an acquaintance and someone who is a friend. And if you think about friendships, I once had a leader explain it to me this way. We have our core at the middle, people that we trust, people that we confide in, that we go to when we're in a difficult situation in life. And then you expand that circle a little bigger, and I think they refer to it as comrades. But these are people that you go to maybe after your core is not available, or you go to them with celebration or happy things, and you kind of share a little bit more with those people. And then you expand a little more, and that's where friends are. Friends are people who we talk to them regularly. They know a significant amount about our lives. We will share with them some details, but a friend is different from a best friend in that we don't share the most intimate details of who we are with just any friend. They have a little bit more distance from our heart and from our personal information, or the things that are really close to us. And then you take it out a circle bigger, and we see acquaintances. And acquaintances are people that, let me move this, I keep touching it. Acquaintances are people who you know them, you know their, profile information, you know their birthday maybe because you posted on Facebook when you saw it, or you know what their favorite animal is, color is, because you can see it in their everyday life. You see the surface level information. So acquaintances, you could know them and you could be comfortable in a simple conversation with them, but there's not a deeper level of understanding or compassion or commitment to that relationship. And then you bring it out to the final circle, and that's where we see strangers. They're people that we don't know at all, people that we've never had a conversation with, people that maybe we know of, but even then there's people that we just have no idea that they're even on the grid, like we're completely separated from them. So today I want to talk about how we can move people from just being acquaintances, just being strangers, people that we are not familiar with, to bring them a little bit closer. And the reason that I want to talk about this is not because you should be putting these things into practice with everybody that you come into contact with, right? But in society, scientists, psychologists, pastors, people who are dealing with people, sociologists, they have come to realize that loneliness is peaking in society. People are more lonely than ever before. And they think that part of it is because of social media. You know, we're more connected on the surface, so we feel less of a need to go deeper. Some people think that it's just because of the fast pace of certain environments. I live in San Jose. This is, you know, in the Silicon Valley, this is one of the most fast-paced environments in the world. Oh my goodness. I moved to Oregon for about 3 years, and looking back, I was young, so I didn't have that much of a recollection, but talking to people that live in Oregon or people who are from there, the pace of different environments is so different. And that's kind of off topic, but that affects our relationships. That affects the way that you grow with people. That affects how you relate to people in your environment. And so if we're not purposeful, I'm trying to avoid the word intentional. If we're not purposeful or intentional about the relationships that we're building, we can quickly become one of those people who are severely isolated. And that's scary. Being isolated is scary for more reasons than one. Number one, though, would be that you cannot do life alone. Nobody was made to do life by themselves. It's nearly impossible. And not only do you need people for the big ideas, commerce, getting your needs, trading goods, but emotionally, relationally, people were made to be in communities. People were made to be in relationship. So I want to talk about how to take people from the outside and bring them in so that we can build up our community, so that we can build up a relationship with the people around us and have a positive experience with the world that we're living in. So today I'm going to share with you 3 tips for how to grow those relationships and how to turn strangers into friends. Number 1, talk less. This seems easy, but it's so hard. Coming from me, a person who loves to talk a lot, it is difficult to shut up when you're in a conversation with another human being who has thoughts and opinions and values that matter, because we're human and we are selfish and think that we are so important. Just so important. So if we talk less and listen more, we are going to build such meaningful relationships. Studies have shown that people who are in a conversation with a stranger, where that stranger is talking about themselves the entire time, walk away feeling unfulfilled and disconnected. However, strangers who have the most positive interactions, they'll walk away and researchers, surveyors will ask, well, what was it that made you feel so connected to them? Why do you feel like you got to know them so well? And they realize that a person feels connected when another person is asking them questions and they get to talk about themselves. When they feel like they've been heard, a person feels closer than ever to someone that they may not even know. So if you sit down and you have a conversation with someone and you spend 20 minutes telling them about your family, about your favorite pet, about your schooling, about your past, about all this stuff, they're going to walk away feeling like they don't really know you at all. Isn't that ironic? When on the flip side, if you sit down and you have a conversation and you ask a stranger about their family, about their past, about their favorite pet, about their schooling experience, if you ask them a million questions, they're going to feel like they know you so well. It's so funny the way that people intake and output information, but if we talk less and if we listen more, we're going to build such deep, meaningful relationships with the people that are around us. That is one way that if you meet somebody for the very first time, you're going to be able to get to know them so well. And just as an example, how many of you have met someone? This is embarrassing because it's happened to me so many times, and it's happened to everyone. But how many of you have met someone, you exchange names, you get 5 minutes into the conversation, and you have no idea what their name is? They literally told you 5 minutes ago, and you have no idea, you don't even know what the first letter of their name is. This happens all the time. all the time to everyone. And I am absolutely positive there is a psychological, scientific reasoning behind why our brains do this. However, we do not have to live this way. I love the show Parks and Rec, and I'm just thinking right now of Chris Traeger. If you haven't seen it, he's this uber positive, very optimistic, happy, loving, crazy dude. And the very first episode that he is in, he walks up to the two main characters, Leslie and Ron. I said Leslie and Ron. And he says, "Hi, I'm Chris Traeger." And they say, "Hi, I am Ron Swanson." And he says, "Ron Swanson." And then he does the same thing for Leslie. He just stares at them, repeats their name. It's a little intense, but on a toned down level, this is such an amazing template for how we should introduce ourselves to people. Because are you walking into a conversation, waiting to say the next thing that you're planning to say, planning it out in your head to the point where you're not even paying attention to their words anymore? Or would you rather stop, ingest their name, like just start with their name, listen to it, respond by saying, "Cassie, nice to meet you." Repeat their name and just tell them that you're nice to that you're nice to meet them, that it's nice to have met them, because you're creating a moment right there. And this would be an amazing other video to do, but I read this book called The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath, and I will link the book down below. But this book talks about how people in business often forsake the key moments in a person's life that could actually bond that person to their business. And now, if we take that outside of business and look at just relationships, if I ignore how valuable a first impression is, then I'm missing out on a moment where I could be building a deeper relationship with someone. So if I walk up to somebody and say, "Hi, my name's Cassie, what's your name?" And they say, "Hi, I'm Sarah." "Sarah, it's so nice to meet you." And it's just an incredible thing to bless someone with, because that tiny action of listening and responding to what you heard, rather than just going with the pre-recorded response you had already planned beforehand. If you respond to what you heard, you make people feel important. So that's our first point. Talk less, listen more. Talk less about yourself, listen more to that person, and respond to what they say. There. Number 2, phase out small talk. I, at 14, started attending the church that I go to now, and I was in the youth ministry. And I remember we had a VIP room, and that's where we took all the first-time guests on their first night, and we would go. And it would be kind of this thing that was known for anybody that was leading in that room, like they were in charge of the first-time guests, helping them get acclimated, that you would ask them their name, grade, school, and then a fun question, like their favorite ice cream, their favorite color, their favorite whatever. And this was a template, and it's really good at the time because it helps younger people who are a little bit socially awkward. No matter how outgoing you are, when we're young, we're awkward. It helps them to connect on some level. However, if you want to build meaningful relationships with someone right off the bat, you have to step away from this idea of meaningless small talk or chatter that just fills the time, and actually ask people about their lives. Now, I've done this in a couple different interactions, and I have had the most amazing responses from people where I will leave a conversation with somebody that I met for the first time, and we will both have cried in that conversation. I will have prayed for them. Maybe they will have prayed for me. Maybe we exchanged information, but there's like this deep bonding moment. And some of those same people then became closer and closer friends to me. If you meet someone, step away from small talk and ask them real questions, because people have a lot going on. And in the world that we live in today, this past week, the world is crazy. The world is falling apart, and George Floyd was murdered, and there has been rioting, there has been an uproar protesting for Black Lives Matter to support this cause that has been overlooked and neglected. And what I see in this is a people group who have been hurt because of injustice and indifference and apathy and ignorance. And there is not a single person on planet Earth who doesn't need a real conversation. So bypass the table topics and talk to people about what's going on in their life. Hi, Sarah, it's so nice to meet you. What brought you here today? Oh, you're here at Starbucks just getting homework done? What are you studying in school? Wow, that's amazing. What made you want to study that? Oh, because your mother did. How's your relationship with your mother? Are you close or you're not? Okay, that type of conversation is so easy to have when we're not afraid of people, because people are just not that scary. Everyone is vulnerable, everyone is broken, and everyone needs love. Now, if you learn a simple piece of information from someone, just take it deeper, because there are in-depth people living under the surface of our stupid conversations. And those people need to be seen, acknowledged, and loved. And if you move past surface level conversations and have a deeper meaning behind every interaction with people, you are going to turn a stranger into a friend in a matter of minutes. And it is amazing. And there is a, what's it called? Greater Good in Action through UC Berkeley. You can Google this, Greater Good in Action, Berkeley, and just Google that and 36 questions. Type in 36 questions to Google, and Berkeley has created a list of 36 questions from surface level-ish to extremely deep. And they have done studies of strangers going through these questions with each other and basically taking you from feeling like complete and total strangers to feeling like this person is a very valuable person in your life because of the way that the questions are formatted. And you don't necessarily need to have this structured conversation with someone. However, if you look at the progression of this conversation, you'll see how easy it is to ask people questions that aren't daunting. They put them at ease, but they get to something really meaningful underneath. So go ahead and take a look at that. That was point 2, phase out small talk. Now, number 3, get over your ego. The hardest part of building relationships, I think the hardest part for every single person in just having conversations with people, is that we are so afraid of the people who won't like us. I understand. I have a terrible need to please people. I have this deep need to be accepted and loved, and a very strong fear of rejection, to the point of when I started high school and I was a freshman, I actually dropped out of high school on the second day of my freshman year. I left and never went back that year because I was terrified that people wouldn't like me for who I was. People are living with this fear every single day, and it stops us from stepping out of our comfort zone, getting close to people, getting to know people. And I just want to encourage you, and this may sound not like encouragement, but I promise you it is. Get over yourself because people may not like you. I can't even count on one hand the number of people that I know for certain do not like me. Like people that possibly hate me, and I could name them. And at some point you just have to be okay with that, because do I like me? Most of the time, but yeah, I do like me. I've come to terms with who I am as a person. And you need to also, because there will be people in your life that just don't like you. And I hope one day you can laugh at that, because you're awesome. And Sucks for them. But if we're constantly afraid of rejection, if we're constantly afraid of the people that aren't going to like us, you're going to miss out on some valuable relationships. You're going to miss out on maybe your future spouse, future best friend, future business partner. We need people in our lives to make us better, but sometimes that means going through a couple people who make us feel like we're worse. And then you take account of that, you take a step back and say, I don't need that relationship, and then you move on. It is paralyzing to try to please everyone to the point where we aren't really being a real person. And authenticity is what builds relationships. Genuine compassion and care for the people that are around you, that's what builds relationships. And I just want to encourage you, not everybody is going to make you feel like $1 million, but can you make someone else feel that good? Can you set aside your ego and your pride for a moment to put yourself out of your comfort zone and love someone who's a stranger and make them feel like the most important person in the entire world? That's how you make a stranger a friend. And that's amazing. It is amazing to be able to be a catalyst in someone else's life, to propel them into their future, to propel them into their journey of self-discovery. You have that power. You have that power inside of you, and you just have to get over the thought that maybe not everyone's going to like you. And then you're going to find those people who really do, who really edify and uplift you, and your life is going to be changed. So I hope that you guys got something out of this. I know that I'm challenged by this, and that's why I feel like talking about it as someone who has struggled with social anxiety and depression. A lot of people that have those issues in their life can be paralyzed in relationships. And even if you don't, relationships are daunting. So I hope that you got something out of this and that you feel empowered to go and talk to some people that you've never met. And talk less, listen more, skip the small talk, and get over yourself, because you're going to see that these 3 things are going to change the way that you relate to the people that are around you. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below of which part was most challenging to you, which point you feel like you might struggle with the most. Go ahead and like and subscribe. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment of any more that you would like, and I will see you guys next time. Okay.